guys, hello around the world. You're from everywhere. We are Matt and Mac, both Ekahau employees, directors of product marketing and ECSC University, joined by sidekicks to you. Okay, so welcome and let's smash it.
Yeah, very warm welcome to everybody joining us on today's webinar. And this is a very special one following on from Wi-Fi Day, where we had, was it 1, 2, 5 product updates that we brought you to announce. So on today's webinar, we are going to be doing a little bit of a deeper dive into the announcements that we had, showing you some really cool demos of the new features. I know everyone's very excited for some of them, just like we are. And we will also be announcing release dates for all of the products. And of course, because you are such awesome, amazing guests of the webinar, we actually have something very special for you today for joining us. So why don't we take a look at and have a quick recap of what we announced on Wi-Fi Day 2 weeks ago now.
Let's do it. So here is what we have introduced last week. Let's start with new Ekahau Optimizer. Ekahau Optimizer, very short. It allows you to use the survey data to fix and optimize your networks, either by giving you recommendations or by automatically fixing it for you.
Yep, and I think this is the one that we might have been very excited about, and a lot of people got very excited about, a new survey feature called Just Go Survey. Being able to survey without the requirement of having a floor plan, setting your distance, or telling the application where you are during your survey. We've got some great content to show you on that today, especially collected by Stu. So look forward to that. Oh, sorry. I jumped to the, so excited I jumped to the next slide.
Yeah, you're probably told. We've also introduced security visualizations where post survey you will be able to see all the interfering APs, rogue APs, and everything from Wi-Fi and wireless, non-Wi-Fi but still wireless perspective that can overlap with your Wi-Fi frequencies and make it a little bit slower or less secure.
And not got your very own Mac daring to capture packets for you? No problem. We can now capture packets through our analyzer application with our new packet capture feature, and being able to capture on up to 4 Wi-Fi channels at the same time across all Wi-Fi frequency bands, 2.4, 5, and 6.
And if you're like me or Matt from a few years ago and you have tons of projects with thousands of access points where you need to drag and drop them manually on the map, good news are that you don't have to do it anymore. And you can see all the vendors that we have the integration ready for, where you can upload the map and exact location of the access points straight from Ekahau without having to do any manual job. Sweet.
Perfect. And on the topic of being excited, I'm very excited to also be wearing my new favorite t-shirt today that has freshly come in the post. And I think my most favorite thing about it is the back. Let me see if I can.
Matt was asking us before the webinar to prompt him about her t-shirt.
Yeah, well,
that's a smashing shirt. I love it.
Yeah, thanks for forgetting as well. So I had to throw it in there, Mac. Cheers.
Well done.
Amazing new t-shirt. And if you are a regular webinar guest of ours, you might remember back a few webinars ago, we actually asked you a poll question on what phrase would you like to have on the back of a Ekahau t-shirt in the future, and this is the one that you voted for the most. So we took your advice, we took your results, and we put it on the back of the t-shirt, and we'll have a link in the chat if you'd like to get one of these yourselves for the next time you're doing a wireless survey, because why not? So Ekahau Optimizer. If you hadn't heard of Optimizer before, we released a version of this. The first version, I want to say early this year. I can't remember if it was around March, April, or May, but anyway, it came out earlier this year. And if you're not familiar with what it is, effectively, it's like having your own Wi-Fi expert in your pocket, handy, ready to go anytime. What Optimizer does is it analyzes your measured survey data collected from one of your sites that you walked around with data from the Sidekick or Sidekick 2, and then it analyzes your network against your specific requirements and some Wi-Fi best practices to then give you step-by-step recommendations on how to improve and optimize your wireless network. But Optimizer just got optimized. Is that too punny? But I kind of guess that's how I am. So why not? Optimizer has got some new features coming very soon, which we're going to give you a demo of. But before that, it's important to just recap how we do capture that data to get it into Optimizer.
And it's that simple. All you need to do is just walk this sidekick, like as if you were walking the dog around your premises, office, warehouse, whatever you have there, save it to the cloud, and that's it. From the cloud, straight away, you can access Optimizer. That's it.
Perfect. Okay, well, we mentioned on Wi-Fi Day that we get very excited when there is some new products or features for us to come out and test. And we were actually very lucky to be able to go and test out the new Optimizer features at a very large college, which was spread over 6 floors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into the new Optimizer and show you around the interface and some of the new features, and yeah, give you a quick tour. And then let's take a look at some of the things that we could optimize for this environment. So bear with me 1 second whilst I prepare my demo and bring it up on the screen. Okay. So, Mac, can we see the screen now?
Absolutely. Okay, guys. So let me just quickly introduce to you what we can optimize inside the Optimizer. So Optimizer, it can peek into survey data and come up with real recommendations about how to fix your networks step by step, giving you easy to follow steps. So it's not just like, you know, a tool that is there because we thought it's funny to have such a tool. It has tremendous practical value, okay? So it can really fix your network without having to pay £1,500 for a network expert or whatever your use case is. So we can take a look at the coverage, primary and secondary, SNR, by measuring noise with a Sidekick 2. We look into channel interference, how many channels are overlapping on how many radios are overlapping on a single channel, rogue devices, where they are, how to find them in order to remove them from your network. Management frames protection, is it enabled or not? Specific by band. SSID's configuration, following good practices or not? If not, how can you change all of that? And more. So Matt, instead of just talking about it, shall we look at it in action?
Yeah, we totally should. So this is the new version of Optimizer. But what you'll notice is we're actually currently looking at a project file from the college that we had uploaded to Optimizer. One of the first things that you will notice is it's very easy and quick to identify any areas of the network that require some improvement. So it's displayed to you in a traffic light system. So if it's green, it means it's good, no issues, nothing to worry about there, nothing to optimize. If it's amber, then there's something that's not quite against either best practices or your requirements that we want to try and improve or optimize if we can. However, if we see anything that's red means that we've got an issue that we really want to try and fix as soon as possible to improve the performance of the wireless network. So I can see all of these cards here. And if I was to just click on one of them, it's going to take me down to this screen here, where you can see it tells me I need to improve my secondary coverage for my environment. Thank you very much. If I scroll down just a little bit to get it all in frame. So we can see right now we're looking at the mobility and we need to improve our secondary coverage. Well, what is secondary coverage? What if I'm quite new to Wi-Fi and I don't necessarily know all of the details about every type of criteria that we're checking against in Optimizer, or potential reasons why I might be having issues with my Wi-Fi network? Well, what Optimizer does is it gives you an overview of that specific criteria that you're looking at. On the right-hand side, we can see some best practices and we see a short little paragraph of a description of what you're looking at and the typical best practices. So you don't need to go onto Google, you don't need to watch a YouTube video, read a blog, or go and ask ChatGPT for what is this Wi-Fi criteria that I'm looking at. Anyone can come here, read it, and then follow our kind of like best practices recommendations. So what I can see here on the left-hand side is everything is now broken down by frequency. So we've got 2.4, 5, and 6 gigahertz. And then we've got the multiple floors. And like I said, this was a really large college environment where there were 6 floors and they're all very large floors. And they had a tri-band deployment done recently. So what I mean by that is they recently upgraded to access points that support 2.4, 5, and 6 gigahertz. So we went in there, we did the survey, uploaded it to the cloud. Optimizer's now analyzing it for us. And the really cool thing that the new version of Optimizer can do is that it can give you exact configuration recommendations for each access point in your environment. So what I mean by that is that, let's say in this example here, there's over 100 access points in this environment. And what this new version of Optimizer will do in its features is it will tell you down to the exact radio level the configuration recommendations. So for the exact transmit power, exact channel width, and what you can do, if I was to click on, let's say, this option right here, I can actually see how the network looks in its current state based off that measured survey data. So we're looking at secondary coverage right now. We can see that there's some issues here. And we know that there's some recommendations to improve it. If I want to see how the network is going to look after I've implemented those recommendations, what I can do is I can grab this slider and I can slide it across, and I can see the difference in the performance of the network based on the recommendations from Optimizer before I even do it. Now, this is amazing. I can't tell you how satisfying it is to play with this slider. I don't know why I enjoy it so much, but just to be able to see what it looks like currently and then how the network's going to look after is really cool, I think, anyway. So the difference here between what our first release of Optimizer is doing versus this new version is, on the first version of Optimizer, what we do is we give you, let's say if we notice an issue with the coverage and primary or secondary coverage, we would have given you like a range to set your access points radios to. So somewhere between, let's say, 14 to 17, if it was currently set to lower. However, now we give specific recommendations. So if I scroll down to the action plan, what I can see here, all of these access point configurations, if I was to click on this, it's going to show me all of the recommendations to change all of the channels, the transmit power, and set the new bandwidths. So if I click on this, it pops up and I can see all of the access points in the environment, the different radios, frequency bands, recommendations for changing in config from going from 80 megahertz wide channels to 20 on 5 gig, 160 megahertz wide on 6 gig to 80 megahertz, the channel change recommendations, and then the transmit power changes as well. And then we can actually make recommendations whether to turn radios off or keep them on, which is exactly what we've done here. And I can scroll through this whole list. So that was looking at, let's say, the secondary coverage, but we can actually take a look and peek into not just heat map information, but we can take a look and see, is the wireless network configured against best practices? So are your network names configured, SSIDs, in line with best practices? So I have a couple of options to see that. I could come back up to the top and I could find the SSID configuration and click on it here. Or I could alternatively click on it down here on this carousel and it will change and show me my SSIDs that are currently configured. And what I really like here is it shows me the SSID that's currently configured across 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. And well, we as Wi-Fi pros know that's possibly not necessarily the best practices that we would like to do, because sometimes our client devices, they don't make good decisions, and it's always down to the client device on which frequency to connect to if you offer them the choice. So in a scenario where you've got your network and access points broadcasting the same network name on 2.4 and 5 gigahertz, sometimes your devices may come in that are capable of connecting on 5 gigahertz to your 5 gigahertz network. But then as they roam throughout your environment, they may, for some reason, connect to 2.4, which will be more congested, have more interference, and ultimately poorer performance on the network. So we can see things like that, identify them, and also give you a plan on ways to improve the network. So if I come down to the action plan again and click on view the changes, what you can see here is you see the list of SSIDs, but this is really awesome. So remember this SSID here before broadcast on 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. If you notice now, the recommendation is to change the name and create a new SSID called this one, but with the 2.4, and broadcast this on 2.4 only. And however, keeping this one the same name and on 5 gigahertz. Well, why is that great and important? Well, because most of your client devices would have already come in and associated to that network name before already. So so you might be thinking, why don't we make a recommendation to call it that public_5? Because Then if you make that change and the following day you have some of the users come in, they would have to authenticate and connect again to a new network name. However, if you make it just 5 gigahertz only and create a separate 2.4 SSID, none of your 5 gigahertz client devices will need to come in and connect again or do anything. They'll just stay on the frequency band you want them to be connected to. However, the older devices that don't support 5 gigahertz, they'll be able to come in and then scan and find the 2.4 version and connect to that, no problem at all. And then we can see the encryption that's been configured, and then if management frame protection is on or off. So obviously with 6 gigahertz and WPA3, this is going to be on by default. And then on your older networks like 2.4 and 5 gigahertz, if you haven't got any issues with client compatibility, you could turn this on. And then we can see here the minimum basic rates recommendation going from the lower rates to the higher rates in line with best practices. And then finally, there's some other actions you can see around the interfering devices. So we know there's always tons of interfering access points and rogue devices. We can see them on the map, and we can also get a table of the floor they're on, their MAC address, and their SSIDs. So there's just so much awesome information that you can see in Optimizer 2.0 now. And trust me when I say you're going to have a lot of fun playing with the slider. You will love it. And I know you can't wait to try it out. Some other things that you can also do is, let's say that you've reviewed the changes in Optimizer in Insights, and you're happy with the recommendations and you want to implement them, but perhaps you need to get approval from management, or you need to submit a change control request. So what you can actually do is you can download a PDF report of all of the recommended changes we have for you in Optimizer for the radios, the transmit power channels, the configuration setting changes, and have it in a nice PDF report that you can then provide to management or into a change control process. And also, if you are currently using a vendor's dashboard network that supports this version of Optimizer, you can actually deploy the changes to the network automatically if you wanted to as well via the API key. I'm not going to dive into that right now. That'll be an option that will be available in the future. So if is there any questions on Optimizer, this new version, Mac, before I jump back to the slides?
Not really, mate. So we had a few questions, actually several questions about where we can access Optimizer. So Optimizer, guys, can be accessed from ekahau.cloud. So you go into Ekahau Insights, or soon you will have a tile to go to Optimizer straight away, ekahau.cloud. Open up a project, and where you have a floor plans on the left-hand side listed, you can open up the Optimizer there and work from the Optimizer straight away in the cloud. Or you can open up your survey project in Ekahau AI Pro, go to Inspect tab, and in the right top corner, you will see the Optimizer icon as well. To get the Optimizer, you need to have Connect subscriptions. There is no extra cost associated, nothing else you have to do. If you are our customer, you already have access to Optimizer. So it should be very, very accessible.
Perfect. So last thing I just want to say is that this was quite a unique environment because of the actual physical materials on site. Most of the internal walls were really heavy attenuating walls. So they were very thick walls. They were really heavy on consuming the signals from the Wi-Fi. So even when you can see like access points that are quite close with each other, there looks like there's still some coverage gaps, especially if you take a look at like around like the stairwells. Of course, it's going to be like brick and things like that. But however, what you notice is that even with the changes recommendations, you can still see, like this is the after we're looking at now, you can see after making the changes of increasing the transmit power, there's still like a couple of areas that not quite meeting the requirements. So the only way realistically we're going to fill that kind of gap is if we was to install an additional access point, or if we was to maybe reposition some of the access points. And I wonder if in the future Optimizer might tell us that, Mac. I wonder.
I don't know.
Okay. All right. Let me jump back to the slides then very quickly.
Okie doke.
This one. Okay.
Okay, guys. So what Matthew has talked us through is how Optimizer can help you with identifying issues, existing issues in your existing Wi-Fi network. And all of us, or most of us, we have existing Wi-Fi networks, right? At home, in the office, anywhere, we have existing Wi-Fi. Most of these networks, they're not too good. And when you apply the recommendations, assuming that design is decent, you will see a massive improvement. So the network that we've had here, it was running on default. There was nothing wrong with it, really, but it could still be massively optimized. And that's super powerful, isn't it?
So I feel like we should have like a little bit of a drum roll. Like, I see a lot of people asking, when's it coming? When do I get access to it? And to reveal all, Optimizer is coming very soon. This new version of Optimizer will be very, very soon. So you'll be able to get your hands on this version of Optimizer in November. So stay tuned. It's going to be very, very soon. You'll have access to it shortly. And like we might have hinted at there a little bit. Was it a subtle hint or not? I'm not sure how subtle we can be sometimes, Mac.
I'm not sure either.
I know our acting skills are Oscar worthy sometimes, but maybe our poker faces are not saying too much here. But yes, in the future, wouldn't it be cool if we could recommend, based off measured survey data, relocating some of your access points or installing some new additional access points as well?
Yeah, and also like following best practices to keep the coverage where the users are and maybe slightly farther away from the corridors and inside the rooms or open spaces. Yeah, this kind of stuff. Yeah. Maybe.
Okay.
In the future. I don't know.
Well, maybe. We'll see. All right. I think this is the one that a lot of people were very excited for.
You think so? Okay, guys. So let's switch our attention to the Just Go survey. So I'm not sure about you, but I'm absolutely excited about this feature. And since the beta internal introduction of it, I don't use anything else pretty much. If I can use Just Go, I will go Just Go. So Just Go survey, guys, you have no floor plan, you have no scale, but you have no problem. You just take your iPhone, okay, or iPad, connect your sidekick to it, and you just walk. You don't have to scan it up and down. You just walk. You just, keep it in your hand, nice and steady. You don't overthink it. You take the same route survey path as you would have taken while capturing continuous survey mode, and it just works. Okay, you just come in and you capture the data. Okay, there is no way for you to be clicking inaccurately because there is no clicking. So how cool is that? You just walk around. Matthew, how excited are you about this feature?
Oh man, I couldn't sleep for about 10 months after seeing this. I don't know when I will be able to sleep again, but I can't tell you how much fun this is. As just being like a Wi-Fi nerd, Wi-Fi geek, whatever, this is just so much fun to do. Stu's going to come on and talk you through a Just Go survey that he did very recently as well of a hotel environment. But when we was in the office together, we went to a couple of different offices in London, then we flew over to Helsinki to be trying it out, and then obviously testing out the product and stuff. But it's just so much fun. I can't explain how much fun that you have whilst you do it until you guys and girls get to try it out for yourselves, which we'll be revealing when you can have access to it very soon, don't worry. But yeah, it's just so good. It's just something super cool to see, right? Everyone who doesn't love playing with new technology and is capturing all of this really accurate heat map data, your access point locations, all of this data, you're just walking around and it's super cool. I mean, to see this technology here, yeah, it's just great. So instead of talking about it, let's play this demo video because it's a
let's do that. And guys, you're asking about the availability. So a few slides from now, we will reveal all the secrets about the exact dates where it will be available. And yes, you need to have iOS device with the AR kit because we do rely on the LiDAR radar on the back of your iPhone or iPad. So Stu, back to you, my friend. Talk us through the survey you've done.
All right. Thanks a lot, Mac. And so, you know what? One of the things in the survey here is that I just wanted to just go. And so with the tool here, all I had to do was open up a new project and hit just go. And as you can see, I'm automatically just moving the camera around on the iPad. The iPad itself is automatically saying, hey, here's the walls. And you can see where it outlines the walls. And then the green is the LiDAR that's capturing the wall itself. Now, what was nice about this is it was super relaxing. I didn't need to know where I was and where I needed to go. I just needed to just walk around. And I knew automatically, you can see down at the bottom, it was already drawing the walls out for me. I was having so much fun. And I mean, it blew me away when I was, I've been testing this for a while, but our most recent versions, and I'm super proud of the team, is that what they've been able to accomplish here is you're automatically seeing, if you've gone into a room, you'll see the walls beyond, and you'll see that in a second. but it's just the ease of use is what it was. I mean, Matt, you'll agree. I mean, it's just like when you're doing this, you're kind of feeling like, you know what, you're like, am I done already? Right? Because it's just like you seem to
Well,
go
that
through
was
this
my
faster.
Yeah, and it's so relaxing for me. It's like yoga, right? Like a meditation. You
Right?
just walk around, switch off your brain, and relax. There
Yeah,
is no responsibility for you to locate yourself, correlate your position with a map. You just go and enjoy.
exactly. But you know what the great thing about this is that it has no problem with the heights of the walls. I even went up to about a 30-foot height in a ballroom and had no issues there. It avoided the furniture. So it knew that the furniture was there and it still continued to draw the walls. I mean, this is impressive stuff, folks. Especially if you just need to do a quick optimization, as that Matt and Matt were talking about earlier. This is it. I mean, this is where you get all this information here. Now, what is Matt, what's one of the things that we always have to kind of be mindful of in our environment? Like when we're doing a survey, like the
Don't
ceilings,
give and
right?
go.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Well, you have to you got to figure out, hey, where am I going to place that AP, or where or what's obstacles do I need to go? And this is when you get to really get more, I guess, more intimate with the environment. You know it better because you've gotten all the walls in place. You know exactly where things are, and you're going to be a superstar when it comes to that Wi-Fi design.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
and
I
look
can just
how cool it is to just watch the map as it being drawn as you go around without
Right.
clicking anything. Yes. And
exactly
also there are
exactly
like tons
that.
of questions about the accuracy of this stuff. So Matt, what do you think about the accuracy of the just go? Is it more or less accurate than continuous?
Well, my mind was completely blown seeing this, and like, yeah, seeing the map getting built on the bottom as Stu was walking around. You can see it at the start. It had the very, the first initial walls, and then he's just been walking around for a short period of time, and you can now see how the floor plan has grown and evolved as he's just walking around casually. You can tell how casually he's walking around here, to capture this data. And the accuracy, I would say, from a clicking perspective, you can't get more accurate than this because it's using the devices. Let me just reshare to my other thing so it's not looking at a blank screen. 1 second.
Yeah, so it's not prone to human error. If you have a floor plan that is scaled incorrectly or has a wrong layout or has new walls or no walls, or you can't locate yourself because you have a massive warehouse with no racks in it, for example, then yeah, it can be more accurate.
Exactly. And
the
I
scaling
see,
was
and
perfect.
there's a few things I just want to address in the chat because I've seen quite a few things come in that I definitely want to talk about. We've done Just Goes in a very large factory in Finland. We was thinking about sharing it on this webinar, but I think we will save it for another one. So we did a really large factory. We've had other people testing out different types of environments with warehouse offices. We've had other people do other places as well. So you can use this in any kind of facility. If you haven't been provided good floor plans, accurate floor plans, or if you just want to quickly go and capture data, this is a totally genuine type of survey mode that you can use. And I see a lot of people asking about Android. And now I know a lot of people think we're Apple fanboys, especially myself and Mac. Yes, of course, we love Apple, but it's not that we're not making this available on Android because we want its own view on Apple, but that it needs to have the LiDAR scanning capabilities, which is only available on Apple devices. So you unfortunately cannot use the Just Go feature on Android devices. You can still use stop and go, continuous, and capture survey data using your mobile Android device. But if you want to leverage any kind of technology like this, it needs to have the LiDAR scanner, which is only available on Apple iOS devices, but also the Pro versions of the iOS devices, because it has to have that LiDAR scanner. That's the technology that's building these 3D maps and walls as we're moving around. So
Yeah. There's
yeah.
also a lot of questions about which one do we prefer. We don't have preferences. Sometimes where you have a great quality floor plan, use it by all means and do it with autopilot, stick to a floor plan if you want to. But the reality is that very often you don't have a floor plan, or the floor plan is inaccurate, or you just can't be bothered and you don't care if you have a sketch versus a floor plan, because here we are creating a sketch. There were a few questions about the mirror. How does it work when you hit the mirror? And then it's simple. It's like you will see the mirror, it will reflect your distance, like the radar will think that there is something behind the mirror, but you just walk in front of a mirror, you are located automatically on the map, and it won't affect your survey data at all. Actually, a few slides behind, Matthew was capturing a Just Go with his iPhone, and there is a mirror like here on the left hand side. Like he just goes through the window through the mirrors there, and it really doesn't matter. And yeah, multi-front aligning is coming. We are working on it. It will be ready. Definitely something that we want to have. So it is a genuine survey method, especially if you don't have a floor plan or you can't be asked to click where you are or use autopilot and be focused when you're surveying. You just walk. Roomba Vax, another fun story there. We even have a chap in Helsinki office that does his master's thesis around the Roomba Vax surveys using Just Go. So yeah, why not? It's absolutely possible.
Just to kind of double out on the mirror side, folks. So I can confirm, because I've tested this in the same building, actually in the gymnasium, where they had a massive mirror. And so 2 of them, and went right up to it, not a problem. It actually outlined the mirror, knew it was a wall, and just moved on after that. And even actually when I got to the glass window, it classified that. It knew that, okay, that was another obstacle. It knew that the window was there. And I even went outside onto a patio and it saw the patio railing. So folks, there's no smoke and mirrors here. This stuff works today. And this is a great tie-in to Optimizer, where if I just need to go in here, do this quick just go, I can then immediately go and go over to the optimizer side and say, hey, how can I quickly optimize and see what's going on? I don't need the floor plan right away. I can just go and do it. And this is going to be super critical for those folks that are need to get into a small convention center or a setup or something that they've done, or an amusement park. Maybe it's a ride. Maybe it's an area that we need to go and quickly survey, and we can just go in there and go figure out, now we know what's happening.
Yeah, and look at the end result here, right, guys and girls? So
Yeah.
this is the end result of the survey that I've then opened it in AI Pro, and you can see the access points. You can see this is the primary signal strength. You can see where Stu walked. You can see the configuration of the radios here. So you have access to data. But Stu, I have a question for you. This must have taken you a really long time, right, to do this kind of new survey feature?
Oh, it was no time at all. I was going to say, oh, it's going to take forever. 10 minutes. And if you can imagine, it would have taken probably longer doing it traditional, right? So I was amazed when 10 minutes, really? Wow, that was quick. And I got to tell you, I was relaxed. And it was nice to just kind of just walk around at my pace and grab the data. And then to see the results at the end, I was like, oh wow, I wanted to go do some more. I wish I could have gotten into the other rooms.
So we can see, so look, we quickly captured the data in 10 minutes or less of that entire floor plan. We saw that there was no coverage issues, but we have access to looking at much more information like heat map data. And we can see there's some channel interference issues here. And we can see, some of the radios of the access points are actually using 40 megahertz wide channels. So that's why probably that the channel interference is not passing here. But this is analyzing the data in AI Pro, but we can also just send this into Optimizer, the new Optimizer, and then take a look at how the network is going to look if we was to implement the changes. And the changes here that Optimizer made the recommendations was, instead of using the 40 megahertz wide channels, how about going back to the 20 megahertz wide channels? And you can see the after now is that there's no channel interference. So from something just as simple as collecting the data using Just Go, you can analyze it in the survey app, AI Pro, or let Optimizer do all the work for you and see the before and after of the recommendations. And it's just really powerful. And I saw some other people mention in the chat is that, have we compared the results from a traditional survey versus the Just Go survey and the floor plan differences? And you seem to know us quite well, because of course we have. So Mac, talk us through what we have.
Look at the floor plans first. Guys, so tons of you have asked, can you export the floor plans? Can I use it to map my room? And yes, you can use it to map your room, your house, your whatever. You can export it, save it to the cloud or to the Sidekick or to the computer or whatever. Open it up in Ekahau AI Pro, go to view, disable everything, and then hit Command E or Control E to export the floor plan jobs done without doing screenshots. But here you can see the GIFs. Yeah, and it's good enough. It's perfect. It's like, if you don't really require to see the furniture, to see like the outline, different colors of the walls, then just use that. It's simpler, and it's not prone to any misclicks and stuff, and it's good enough for you. You know where you are. You can locate yourself by looking at this map now. You can see the outline of the office. You can see how accurate it is. It's, for me, if I don't have a hard requirement to have a floor plan that looks like an old school, normal, typical floor plan, I'll be going Just Go. like pretty much every time, because why not? So let's take a look at the rest.
Because why not, indeed, right? Now look at the difference. We used the actual floor plan for the Helsinki office to complete a survey, and then we did a Just Go survey right at the same time. So it was within a couple of minutes of each other. And when you take a look at the things that you really care about, which is the data, when you're looking at this, you can see the data is the exact same. So you can identify where the access points are. You can identify where you've got certain issues in coverage, and you can see all of that information. So, you know, yes, the floor plans might not look as pretty or as perfect as the one on the left, but how many times have you been in a situation where you haven't been provided those most accurate, up-to-date floor plans, or any kind of floor plan at all? It happened to us during our time working as professional services all the time. When you would start to do you'd get sent floor plans, you'd go on site, you'd start your survey, you start walking, all of a sudden you walk through 3 walls that apparently should be there, but it's an open plan office. You carry on walking, and now you've flown out of one window, turned into Superman, and flew across into another building's window, and you're like, how the heck has this happened? And it's so wildly inaccurate. You get confused. What I do anyway, I would get confused, like, what is going on? There's supposed to be a table here, there's supposed to be walls here, there's supposed to be another part of the office here or warehouse, and it's just completely changed. So that can be really difficult and challenging. And what this now enables us is to give us more options. And you know what? Once you've got this data, and you take a look at it in Optimizer, you get instant access to recommendations and things that could potentially be wrong, like this, right, Mac?
Yeah, sure. So guys, if you do a good quality stop and go or continuous or autopilot survey, so if you hit all the tick boxes, you have the floor plan that is scaled correctly, has a good layout that is comparable to what it looks like in the real life, you click where you are always, you correct autopilot so it's always spot on, then the survey results from the older survey modes and the Just Go will be identical. Okay, it will be identical. Just Go is just easier and probably faster because you don't need to click and think or whatever. A few questions about walking speed. Nothing changes here. You just walk at the normal pace. Okay, you don't think about it. You don't run like crazy. You don't have to walk slow. You just go. Okay, you have 4 radios inside the Sidekick, and it's enough to scan all the channels with a frequency of around like 2.5 seconds to see like the entire picture of everything without changing the without narrowing the channels that you scan. So it's very fast. Okay, it's not a problem. There is one great question from Larry. What is the default wall DBM when using a Just Go? Good question, and a quick answer is we don't measure wall DBMs really. We don't care. It's a survey data. Okay, it's a survey data, so we know exactly that there is something in there. But we've measured the RSSI on both sides of the wall, so it will be reflected on the floor plan, right, on the visualization. But we don't present the walls yet, at least.
Great question there from Larry. I mean, what if in the future we did measure the walls as well? We use that data for other things too. So yeah, let's stay tuned for that. But again, just to reiterate, coming back to that data, sometimes we can give you recommendations and optimizations on criteria that don't even require a floor plan. If you've got the data, we can take a look at your network configuration. Is it in line with best practices? The minimum basic rate, the encryption, security, have you got the same names configured across both bands? This is the exact same identical information that you get access to. So yeah, so I mean, how many times, we're just talking about floor plans, right? But how many times in your Wi-Fi career have you been either taken a picture of a fire escape floor plan to use for surveying? I know we've all done it multiple times, or you've been sent a floor plan in Excel and be like, hey Mac, go and do a really detailed in-depth accurate survey on this Excel floor plan, please.
I don't know, it's many times. Sometimes I was even like moving a little bit farther. I was like sketching up a plan on my pen and paper or on my tablet or laptop, and then I was going to Photoshop to adjust it. So I was running around with the measuring tool, laser measure, and creating a floor plan myself. Happened to me a few times.
Yeah. So these are, look, we're saying here are some of the use cases for Just Go. If you don't get provided any kind of floor plan, you can now use Just Go to get that data. If you get out of date or inaccurate floor plans, you can use Just Go. If you just want to do a very quick check of the environment, see what's going on, maybe someone's called you up and said, hey, I've got a problem with the Wi-Fi, and you want someone to just quickly capture the data, the time to know how to capture that data now is 0. You just get your mobile device, plug it into your Sidekick, and you just walk around. And they can be on site in the UK and you can be over in America, and you get instant access to that data, which you can then analyze and be like, oh, there's some issues here. We need to do this, this, and this to improve the network. Or if you're just like me and Mac and want to geek out over new tech, then you're going to get massive satisfaction from trying out this new survey feature. But this just gives us options. So now we have more options. So these are some of the types of survey methods that you can use to capture data for the networks that you're doing the Wi-Fi survey at. And we're not saying if you've been given perfect floor plans that are accurate and scaled, use them. There's nothing, we're not saying to not use them, or the best practice is now to use Just Go. Of course you can use the other survey modes. We have Stop and Go, which you just use when you're on the map, you go to position on the map and you just click, wait for a period of time, let that 5 seconds or however long you want it to be pass, and move on to the next location. And we also have the continuous survey method, which is where you'll be constantly tapping on the map, either clicking or with your pen or pencil or finger, to click when you start, click when you turn, click when you stop, and then click when you change pace. Alternatively, you can also use our autopilot feature, which is you just calibrate initially distance on the map, a couple of reference points, and then you just walk around. And again, using the AR kit built into the iOS devices, it automatically maps out your survey path for you, and you have that information. Or you can use Just Go. We've spoken about it a few times already today, and you can use that feature if it is best suited for you in your specific example and requirement at the time. And we also have the GPS option as well. So if you want to capture GPS data for outdoor environments, or perhaps it's a very large indoor environment or somewhere that's not got too many reference points, you can totally use the GPS survey method. So I think we should probably put everyone out of their misery and know when they can get access to the Just Go feature. Should we, Mac?
Yeah, your guys probably dying to test it out, aren't you? So let's move to the next slide. Give me a drum roll. And chaps, for everyone that is here today on the webinar, you will have access to a beta program to test out Just Go. So how cool is that? On the next slide, you will see a beautiful QR code. So scan that, enroll, and enjoy, Matt, right? So how easy is it to get your hands on the Just Go survey now? Just a few clicks away.
Yeah, so you can just take out your iOS device, scan the QR code. You will need to install our test flight version of the survey application because this is in beta currently, but you are all so amazing that join our webinars, and we wanted to have something special for you for coming here today. So you can test it out, try it out for yourselves. But I'm going to throw in one small little caveat. You have to let us know how you get on doing the Just Go survey. We would love to see some examples and share some files with us, or anything you capture that you are happy to share with us. We'd love to take a look and see your experiences of using Just Go. We know you're going to have an absolute blast. And just one thing to just call out again, if you have an iOS device, you will need to have the pro version that's got the LiDAR scanner to have access to this, and you do need to have an active Ekahau Connect subscription. But there you go, you can start testing and trying out Just Go today. Stu, are you coming on to
I'm just going to say is that, folks, go out there, as like Matt says, try it, have some fun, and just relax, move it around, capture some walls, and get a good feel for what is the learning curve is like seconds. So get out there, have some fun, and we want to definitely hear from you. I want to hear from you.
Relax. I don't want you to be killed by a forklift in the warehouse.
Well, yeah, you still gotta watch out for that. So that was one of the questions there, and I know we're running a ton of time, is it? But from a warehouse perspective, yeah, you're gonna see some obstacles, but yeah, try it out. Over to you.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wow, time flies when you're having fun. I realize we've still got some more products we need to talk about, so we better get on with the show. So yeah, Mac, packet capture.
Yeah, sure. So what we have captured already, we have captured Optimizer 2.0. So latest and greatest updates to our optimizer to fix your network. We talked about the just go. So now let's just talk about the packet capture. So what do we capture here? Guys, we have Ekahau Sidekick, and inside the Sidekick, we have 4 amazing Wi-Fi radios, right? Tri-band radios. You can capture on 4 channels at any given time. All you need to have is an iPhone or an iPad, connect your Sidekick and open up an Analyzer app, and you will see the packet capture option there. So we should have a release of a new version of the Analyzer, general release today. So you should have access to it already. Okay. So yeah, that's it, guys. So let's move to the next slide and see inside the Sidekick.
Yeah. So for me, again, I love seeing cool technology, and for me, there's no cooler technology than our Sidekick 2. So we wanted to show you this because being able to capture wireless packets on 4 channels at the same time is very impressive, right? This is like a fantastic option now, because before, if you wanted to do some sort of wireless packet capture, if you was using like your MacBook or whatever to put your wireless card into monos mode, you can only capture on 1 channel at a time. Or if you're going to use some other tools or applications, you have to like dongles and plug on, and it's just complicated. This is a now simple, easy way for you to get access to capture on multiple channels at the same time, which is amazing, because most of the time you're going to probably want to be capturing on multiple different channels, because all of our access points have different radios across 2.45 and now 6 gigahertz, and you can have multiple radios or access points in the environment. And if you want to try and capture like roaming events or things like that, you need to set your capture device onto those channels to capture the event as it happens. Wireless frames are sent so freaking fast, you have to have a dedicated radio on the channels to capture everything, otherwise you might miss it. And why this is super cool as well is, I know a lot of people will say about access points come with radios that can do packet captures and stuff as well themselves, which is, yeah, great, they can do that, but they are up at the ceiling, whereas you can have the Sidekick 2 down with your client device. So you can do packet captures now with your client devices. So if you're ever troubleshooting client device issues, perhaps you're trying to check for compatibility or trying to figure out roaming issues or anything like that, then you can use the Sidekick 2 with the Analyzer application on your mobile device to capture packets for a multitude of reasons. Sometimes technical support will ask you, please, can you go do a wireless packet capture? And you'll be like, oh, I don't know how to do that. Now you can do it really easily and share it super easy as well. So Mac, I think you have a quick demo that you want to show, right?
Totally. So let's take a look. You stop sharing screen and I will share my video very quickly. I just captured it today. So guys, so let's take a look at how packet capture works. So with Wi-Fi site surveys, you will find out 95% of the issues with your network, right? When you use Analyzer, for example, to do some spot on troubleshooting or on the spot troubleshooting, rest 4% are done. But there are some cases where neither of these apps can be used to find what's going on. So that's where we have to revert to old good packet capture. So let's take a look at that, guys. I have my iPad here, and I was doing a packet capture on my iPad using the Analyzer application, and then I had my iPhone next to my Sidekick to do this packet captures. I have an Analyzer application app opened, and before I do a packet capture, I need to understand my environment to see what channels I have to capture on. And on 6 gigahertz in my house, I'm using channels 21 and 37. And that's what I want to use while doing a wireless packet capture. I also had like 2.4 gigahertz there, like on packets on channels 1 and 6. So I will capture on that as well to see maybe some RNR and other fancy stuff. So there we go, guys. I'm selecting just 4 channels on my iPad, 21, 37 on 6 gigahertz band, and 1 and 6 on 2.4. Initializing capture. At this point, I switched off Wi-Fi in my iPhone, switched it back on, and I have a packet capture. So I would have connected to the Wi-Fi network now to my 6 gigahertz. That's where I will stop doing packet capture and share the packet capture to my MacBook through the AirPlay. So now let's take a look at the packet capture itself. So you see that it works. That's the exact file that I'm going to be showing you now. So let me share the screen and move to that side. You should see my my Wireshark now. I just opened the packet capture there. Let me disable the reference there, so we see at the unbiased one and unfiltered one. So guys, this is like the entire thing that I have captured. That's a lot of packets flying, or frames flying there. I happen to know the MAC address of my iPhone, so let's narrow it down a little bit. So I want to see everything that comes to or from my iPhone, so I can see some probe request, authentication. Why don't I see probe response? And that's because probe responses, they don't have the MAC address of the device that is asking for a specific BSSID. So let me remove the filter 18897, and look at that, 18897, I have a probe request, and then probe response should be very close. I have a probe response here. So that's a probe response sent to a broadcast. That's why we don't see it when I apply a filter for my Apple device. It's just 0.00004 seconds. So 0.4 milliseconds later, I have a response to my probe. And let me apply the filter again. So this is just, guys, like a very quick introduction into how cool working with packet capturers can be. So I go through open authentication from my iPhone to my access point, open authentication response from my access point back to my iPhone, association request, association response, and bam, I am connected to Wi-Fi. And in Wi-Fi, as you might know, association is what link light, blink, 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 green, green, green is in the wired world. And that's it, chaps. If you want to know more about packet capture protocol analysis and how to use your Sidekick 2 or Sidekick 1 to its fullest potential, so you are able to do a Wi-Fi site survey, on-the-spot troubleshooting, and packet capture, and you learn about protocol analysis and dive deeper into protocol and understand how it works on a frame-by-frame basis in order for you to spot anomalies, then I encourage you to consider joining us on ECSE troubleshooting course. It's absolutely smashing, absolutely amazing, and you will fall in love. That's it from me.
Thanks, Max. So moving on to the next product update, and we will fly through these because we've still got 2 more product updates to get through. And we've got demos of each one of the other things as well. So a new thing that's coming to the survey app is security visualization. So you're going to be able to see and track down things like rogue devices, a new visualization inside of the survey app. So things like printers or mobile hotspots or access points that shouldn't be in your environment, any kind of interfering APs, you will now be able to see this in the survey application as well. And as well as that, also be able to see RF interferers. So anything that would be captured with the spectrum analyzer on 2.45 or 6 gigahertz, microwave oven, wireless video camera, passive infrared, any kind of those devices, you'll be able to see all of that inside of the survey application in these new security visualizations. And as well as that, we're also going to be identifying any of your networks that have a weak method of encryption. So in this example here, using WEP. So we're going to make it nice and obvious to see if for some reason, perhaps someone enabled a checkbox that's kept WEP on, for example, or the first version of WPA. So make it nice and easy to see and identify that. We know how important security is to everybody. So we want to make it easier to identify and clearer to see quicker. And this will be also available coming in November. So coming in November, you'll be able to get access to these security visualizations inside of the survey app as well. So the last thing we want to talk you through is our integrations with multiple different vendors. So our floor plan and AP provisioning. And why is that such a nightmare? Well, Mac will tell you why that is such a nightmare.
Yeah, I'll try to be simple here, but guys, try to imagine a workflow where you work with a massive site or multiple sites. Each site has multiple floors and 100 APs on each floor or 50 APs on each floor. Sometimes you will have thousands of access points inside your organization that you want to have on your maps in your vendor, okay, in your dashboard. Whatever vendor you use, you want to have that location of your APs. So try to imagine the workflow. You need to upload the floor plan that needs to be up to scale. You need to find the access point from the list by its serial number or claim code or name or BSSID or the MAC address of the radio of the access point, whatever, or Ethernet port. And you have to correlate that with your survey results or your installators plan where they place the access points and put a label on them. And then you have to have like an Excel spreadsheet on one screen and then your vendor dashboard on the other screen, and drag and drop each access point to its location manually, okay? It's pain to the point where I left my previous employment before I finished last 4 projects with few thousand access points on them, okay? And now you don't have to do it anymore manually. All you need to do is to have a survey data location of the access points inside your Ekahau file, and then you click next twice, and it just works. So next slide, Matthew, let's take a look at what vendors we are supporting, and we support as of today. We support Cisco Meraki, Cisco DNA Center, full support there, including heat maps. We support HP, Aruba, and Juniper Mist, and Arista, and Extreme Networks. And we have a full dedicated team working on integrations with these beautiful vendors to make sure that we can automate everything and more. Okay, so let's take a look at these demos, Matt.
Sure. So the Meraki demo, first of all, let me just talk you through it. There was 100 access points there. This is again that college that we visited, and so we had that survey data collected. You just go to Ekahau Insights, you input your API key, select your organization, the site you want to send the data to, and then you can pick all floors or a particular floor. But the really cool thing you can actually do inside of Insights is with the Meraki dashboard is align the floors inside of Insights before you push it to your Meraki dashboard. Once you're happy with the alignment, you hit continue. Like Max said, you hit click next twice, and then you go to your Meraki dashboard, and you've got a fully provisioned Meraki dashboard based off measured survey data. So we've been able to support doing this with design simulations for a very long time, but now being able to do it with measured survey data is the game changer, because you're not going to have any errors or anything like that, because it's based off real world measured, accurate, collected survey data. So Mac, how do we do this with DNA Center?
It's very simple. So guys, you just need to open up your project and download your file, and then you import that file to Cisco DNA Center in order to enjoy your floor plan, upload it there or import it there with the location of the access points. But that's not only that, you have the scale imported as well, and you have all the walls imported as well. So look at that on the screen, how simple the process is. All you need to have is a match of the environment in Ekahau with the match of environment hierarchy in DNA Center, and you even import the walls and walls attenuation in order for DNA Center to be able to display the visualizations in more accurate way without you having to sit there for days and drawing these walls.
Yeah, and this works with design files or measured survey data. So you can use a validation file or design to get that into DNA Center. Super cool. And if you use Aruba, we have support with Aruba Central. All you need to do is go over to your Aruba Central dashboard. You're going to capture your access token for the Aruba Central dashboard. You can see here currently no floor plans or anything like that there. Head over to Ekahau Insights, input your access token, select your region, then you can hit continue, and you can then head back over to your Aruba Central dashboard and have a fully provisioned Aruba Central dashboard based off measured survey data without you having to manually drag and drop or do anything yourself. Super easy and so beneficial as well. So that's,
and if you have Juniper Mist, guys, yeah, go on. Okay, so if you have Juniper Mist, guys, it's as simple. So you just get your API key copied here inside Ekahau Insights, select what floors and sites you want to export, hit export. And the cool thing is, on top of what we've seen previously, is not only you're uploading the site the floor plan and access points location, but you also export the pictures of your access points automatically from Ekahau if you have them inside your project file. How cool is that?
Super cool. So quickly then, Extreme as well. We support the Extreme Cloud IQ. The slight difference here is you log in with your email address and password for the credentials for your Cloud IQ. Once you've done that, you can then head over to the Insights you head into Insights, put in your credentials, and then that will push that data from Insights to the Cloud IQ. And the cool thing that you can do here as well is not just take in the floor plans and AP locations. If you want to take a snapshot of the coverage from the survey that you did at that time, you can actually push that to your Cloud IQ dashboard too, which is really helpful and handy to see. So we love these integrations with all of our vendors. We know how much time it's going to save users because we've provisioned hundreds of thousands of dashboards in our lifetime as well. And like Max said, I think that was the nail in the coffin, the final decision that made you join Ekahau, right? Not having to do that
guys,
anymore.
Before we continue, I've seen some comments there that some of you have already finished Just Go. Thank you very much for that. Thanks for sharing. I see that some of you tried exporting to DNA Center, and you need to open up your file in Ekahau New AI Pro to update the project schema before you upload it to DNA Center, and it's going to work. And
so Matt,
now
just one correction, that you need to upload it to Insight. So you have to So for DNA Center, you need to upload the project file to Ekahau Insights. And what Insights will do is convert the schema for you so it works with DNA Center. So you upload it to the Ekahau Insights, go to your profile and licenses, and you'll see the list of your projects. You can download it from your projects there, and then you'll get a new ESX file with the correct schema to work with the DNA Center. And then you can then import your design or your validation ESX file to DNA Center. So just head over to your license details, click download here, get a copy of the file with the Cisco DNA Center schema, and then you can head over to your DNA Center to upload the file.
And yes, you can upload Just Go survey results as well. Okay, so let's recap on everything that we've touched on today. So guys, this is what we've released, and these are the dates of the release. So a new Optimizer 2.0, it will be available publicly in November, so next month. Ekahau survey, Just Go, you have access to it today if you attended the webinar. If not, probably you can steal the code from someone and still access it. If not, it will be available within the next few days. And security visualizations available next month. Ekahau Analyzer with packet capture available officially today. And AP integrations with all the 6 vendors that we've just seen is available today, and more integrations are coming. Okay, so yeah, enjoy. It's super good features.
Very excited. Before we will take some I know we've gone over by a couple of minutes. We will take some questions from the Q&A and answer as many as questions as well after, but we just want to announce that the next webinar we're going to be doing is going to be regarding Wi-Fi 7. We know that's a very interesting topic right now to find out more about Wi-Fi 7, and who better to find out about Wi-Fi 7 than Mr. David Coleman himself. So David Coleman will be our special guest joining us on our next webinar, all about Wi-Fi 7 and what it's going to mean for your wireless network. Do we need to configure our networks in a slightly new way? Is this new technology going to mean we have enhancements, or what do we do? Well, you'll find out everything you need to know from the legend himself and us, of course, on the next webinar. So you can scan that QR code, get yourself signed up. You won't want to miss that. And on that note, I want to say a huge thank you for everybody from joining us, and I will stop presenting so we can take some questions from the audience.